For many children, being home alone is a moment of freedom. No parents, no rules, just silence. But for some children, that silence became something else. Something watched, something moved, something that should not have been there. In this documentary, we examined 4 true childhood home alone experiences, later confirmed or supported by evidence, witness testimony, or adult investigation. These are not campfire stories. These are real accounts, told years later by adults who still cannot explain what happened in their childhood homes. Psychologists agree on one thing: children notice things adults ignore. They hear sounds we dismiss. They sense changes in familiar spaces. And when something feels wrong to a child, it often is. Each story you're about to hear happened during daylight or early evening, when fear should not exist. That is what makes them so disturbing. Our first story takes place in 1998. An 8-year-old boy in northern England was left home alone for the first time. His parents were only gone for less than an hour. He sat on the sofa, watching television in the downstairs living room when he suddenly heard it. Footsteps. Not outside. Not in the hallway. They were coming from directly above him. The footsteps were slow, heavy, deliberate. The child froze, his heart pounding in his chest. No one was supposed to be home. He muted the television and listened intently. The heavy footsteps crossed the floor of the bedroom, then stopped, positioned directly over the living room where he was sitting. A moment of silence passed. Then a new sound broke through. Something scraping across the floorboards. Terrified, the boy ran outside and waited on the front steps, refusing to go back in until his parents returned. When they arrived, his father searched the entire house, from top to bottom. Nothing appeared disturbed. No one was there, but when they checked upstairs, they found something impossible. A large attic hatch, which was always sealed shut and difficult to open, was now ajar. No one could explain how. The family moved out within a year. Our next story happened in 2003. A 10-year-old girl in Canada was home alone after school, sitting at the dining room table, doing her homework. In the quiet of the house, she heard her name spoken clearly. The voice came from the kitchen. It sounded exactly like her mother. The girl called back, thinking her mom was home early. There was no reply. A few moments later, the voice spoke again, calling her name slowly. This time it sounded closer. She walked toward the kitchen, fully expecting to see her mother standing there. But the kitchen was empty. She checked the back door. It was still locked from the inside, just as she had left it. As she turned to leave the empty room, the voice spoke again. But this time it was right behind her ear, not loud. It was a whisper. She ran from the house, screaming, and hid at a neighbor's until her parents returned. Years later, as adults, the family discovered that previous tenants had also reported hearing disembodied voices in that same kitchen. They had simply never told the children. This third account comes from rural Australia in 1995. A 9-year-old boy was watching cartoons alone as dusk began to settle outside. The sun was going down, and the house was growing darker. He felt it before he saw it. That distinct, unnerving sensation of being watched. He slowly turned his head toward the large living room window. Standing just outside, inches from the glass, was a man. He wasn't knocking, he wasn't moving at all. He was just standing there, staring into the room, and he was smiling. The boy screamed and scrambled to hide under the dining table, his eyes squeezed shut. When his parents arrived 10 minutes later, the man was gone. But there in the soft dirt under the window were muddy footprints. They led up to the window, and then they just stopped. They didn't lead away. Police were called, but no suspect was ever identified. To this day, that boy, now a grown man, refuses to sit near uncovered windows at night. Our final story occurred in 2007. An 11-year-old girl in the United States was home alone for a few hours while her parents ran errands. For a feeling of extra security, she locked her bedroom door and sat on the floor playing games. A short time later, she saw the doorknob begin to turn, slowly back and forth. Then a voice spoke through the door. It sounded wrong. It was a low voice trying to imitate her father, but failing. The voice asked her to open the door. Frozen with fear, she stayed completely silent. After a long moment, the handle stopped turning. When her parents returned, they found the front door of the house unlocked, though there were no signs of forced entry. But her bedroom door was damaged. It was covered in deep scratches and gouges, concentrated around the handle and the lock. Police investigated but found no evidence of an intruder. For years afterward, the girl slept with the light on. Across all 4 of these cases, a pattern emerges. The events all happened in familiar, safe homes. They occurred during daylight or early evening, times when we feel most secure. No clear, rational explanation was ever found. And in each case, the children sensed danger long before any adult noticed something was wrong. Each witness, now an adult, remembers the details with a frightening clarity, decades later. Being home alone is meant to be an ordinary part of growing up. But for these children, it became something else entirely. Something unseen, something unexplained. Something that followed them into adulthood. Because the most terrifying part is not what happened. It's that no one could ever explain who or what was really there. Thanks for watching.